we go through quickly what I class as the number ones? So this is a nice little framework to make sure your head's in the game around producing the best results possible. So we'll cover the number one resource, the number one driver, the number one activity, the number one skill, and the number one focus that you need to have in the market right now. Now, we could, if we had time, we'd then do a little workshop and say, right now, okay, what do you think is the number one resource? What's the number one driver, and so on. For the sake of time, let's just jump in and share these. Your number one resource as an agent is time. It is the number one, right? You're going to put somewhere around 2,500 hours in the next 12 months into your real estate business. That's a huge number of hours. That's a shed load of hours, guys. So if you're going to put that many hours in, I think you should expect a fantastic return on investment. The number one driver are leads. There's no question, is leads. So what am I doing today to drive leads? I don't feel like doing it. Excuse me, it doesn't matter how you feel, it matters what you do. So all of a sudden you're in this mode of, okay, what am I doing and how many leads per day will actually deliver this? And this is a combination of different sources depending on where your business is at as to how to drive that. Number one activity is connecting. Now, I could have put prospecting there, I could have put nurturing there, but in actual fact, it's actually simply about connecting. And one of the things that Todd, I've changed in our accountability system with agents is not how many calls you made, how many connected conversations did you have? Because a lot of people getting confused, they were just making calls and they were, that dialing for dollars, but they didn't have anything meaningful coming out of this. So as opposed to flipping it around and saying, no, let's make sure you're connecting. How many connected conversations are you going to have today? So I don't care how many people you spoke with, how many connected conversations did you have that you somehow moved it forward. And a little distinction that we have here is, and this is fantastic for all those people who potentially are thinking about selling, is you either on your calls have an advancement or you have a continuation. Now, an advancement means as a result of this conversation, I've actually advanced my thinking. I've advanced this client. I've moved this client from being someone who's coming on the market with some agent at some point in time in the future to they are coming on the market later, not now, but they're coming on the market with me. That's advancement. That's moving it closer to you. Advancement might be, playing the suppose would you game, the hypothetical. Hey, I know you were talking about selling later on in the year. Out of interest, if I did have a buyer who could perform in today's marketplace, would you consider bringing that decision forward? You and I don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the property market is going to do. The market dynamics that exist at the moment are absolutely superb for someone thinking of selling. And by the way, it means you're going to be cashed up to take advantage of the market down the track. This is about connecting. This is about having connected conversations, advancing. Number one skill is negotiating. So at the listing appointment, you're negotiating, will you choose me to actually sell your property? So you're actually a participant in the negotiation there, and you move to an advisor when you're actually working with buyers and sellers. So it's understanding what mode you're in, but negotiating. Like literally, I want to do business with you, not because you're a good marketer. I expect you to be a good marketer. So one of the things that we're saying is, look, I could spend a lot of time talking about how great we are at marketing, but to be honest with you, if an agent doesn't have the ability to, actually I wouldn't say to be honest with you, but I just said it then. If an agent doesn't have the ability to put a good marketing program together for your property, I don't think they have the right to be sitting in front of you. So what you've done is the agent that goes in and does our marketing strategy, our marketing strategy, our marketing strategy, you've just bombed them out of the way. Now, one of the things we talk about in our agent coaching is don't dump on a competitor, but bomb them all you like, right? So the simple distinction between dumping and bombing. Dumping is, they're terrible. There's no way. Oh gosh, they're terrible. That's dumping on them. And you'll find you'll lose business because you're dumping on a competitor. But bombing them, this is something that they can actually, you might drop a little landmine as you walk through the property. You might, over a Zoom call, put a little hand grenade in there or something along those lines that they fall into beautifully. And this is based on, once again, not market intel, competitor intel to know what bombs you can put in place for competitors. E.g., a super simple example could be that, hey, Yeah, look, they actually had some really good market share 12 or 18 months ago. What have they got now? You just leave it, right? Um, yeah, look, they're really good at selling condos and apartments. Yeah. Let's talk about your home, right? So and assuming their home wasn't a condo or an apartment. So you start to create this distinction where you're shifting this. Bombing on competitors, thumbs up. Dumping, thumbs down. So this is your negotiation framework. And the final one here is your number one focus is contributing. How do I make a difference? So I'm sitting in front of someone. How do I actually contribute? How do I make a difference? Now, the reality is, Todd, for your guys, what's a good number of transactions per year? Number of listings per year.
Yeah, so two different markets. We have both, excuse me, the traditional markets, and we've got resort markets. So obviously, if you're selling in Vail and Edwards and Steamboat and Sun Valley and Telluride, to do 12 to 15 transactions, you're doing $20-30 million in sales. The other markets, you're probably going to need to do 50 sites.
Yeah, cool. And Peter, for you?
We're probably along the same lines as Todd.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So around that, one of the things that I look at is if you look at the number of conversations that you're going to have, connected conversations, versus the number of transactions you're going to have, the number of conversations is incredibly broad compared to the number of transactions. So if we have built in, and remember this agent I work with, his name's Frank, and Frank, when the market went back 34%, his business grew by 20%. Okay, excuse me, that shouldn't happen, right? Market's back, you should be back. No. Market's back 34% in volume, he's up 20% year on year. So I sat down and said, Frank, what happened? What did you do? He says, well, Michael, I took your advice. Okay, what advice was it? He said, well, you said to me, last year, I was looking for the 2 in 10 opportunities. So everyone would come towards him and he would say, are you one of the two? Are you one of the two? So he was quite discerning whether he would contribute to that person or not based on, could you actually, are you the one that can do something for me right now? Almost. I said, okay, interesting. So how did you change your strategy? I saw every single person as an opportunity. I saw every single person I interact with as an opportunity. So every time I connected, number one activity, I actually focused on the number one thing, which is contributing. And all of a sudden that changed his business. And the beautiful thing about real estate, the beautiful thing that I fundamentally love about this, we don't know who you know. So you just don't know if your best buddy's with. You don't know if you're going to a dinner party. You don't know if you're going to the pub and having a beer. You don't know if you're sitting at the hairdresser having a chat with someone. You don't know if you're picking up the kids and you're sitting with someone. You don't know who that person knows. So all of a sudden, simply by shifting that contribution, it massively shifted how he operated. So if your number one focus is contribution, it means, Peter, you're in front of me. How can I contribute? How can I make a difference? And that probably isn't going to be a listing or a sale right now. Right? Now, if you come to me, you turn up and say, hello, I'd like to buy this property. My number one contribution is helping you secure this property and getting and moving forward. But if I think about it, out of the 2,500 hours, guys, I'm going to put into my real estate business in the next 12 months. And I'm if I list, say, 20 or 30 properties, I'm doing exceptionally well, right? You put that into perspective, you go, okay, cool. There's a lot of conversations that aren't about the listing now or selling now. So therefore, if I shift it to contributing, makes a massive, massive difference.
There might be a couple of books that were written about that too, huh? Any books come to mind? Like, it's not who you know, it's not just who you know, it's not, yeah. I mean, it's brilliant. Love it.
There's there's the Ford concept that I'm sure you guys have coached in with the guys, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. It's connecting in with that and starting to actually care about people. And it's that whole line, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, which is great. One more thing.
What a great framework.
Yeah, one more thing that for us to do other than the number ones is to share a little bit about what I see is needed at the listing appointment. Now, clearly, the best agents are setting up well and truly before the listing appointment as to how they're performing at the listing appointment. But ultimately, there are four kinds of listing.
So can you say that again? So, clearly what?
Okay, clearly the best agents are setting up their success at a listing appointment before the listing appointment.
All right,
okay?
so that's that translation. They're putting the time and effort into preparing so that when they get there, they're operating at the highest level.
Yes, and if I've had someone in my pipeline for 2 months, I've done such a great job of value adding in that process. I may have had competition 2 months ago. I'm now the only agent actually there because I've done such a great job of differentiating along the way. And I talk about the difference, everyone talks about point of difference. I talk about point of value. Point of difference is attached to us. Todd, point of value is attached to the client. So how do we shift my difference to value to you in that process? So point of value is key. And our simple strategy here that I coach at a program called Sales Bootcamp is if the client can say, so what, we're not at a value point yet. We're Cornwall Banker. So what, right? We sell a lot of properties in the marketplace. So what? We're not at the value point yet. We think we are, but we're actually just bragging. So we're going to shift it from a brag to an informant and educate that allows people, it can land in such a way that's actually contributing to people powerfully.